to episode 103 of the Slip and Weave podcast. My guest today is coach for Team USA and hostess of In the Ring with Christine Lopez. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you so much.
So do me a favor. I always like to let people introduce themselves in their own words, let everybody know kind of who you are, what you do, and maybe a little bit about how you came to be coach of Team USA.
Okay, well, I'm Christine Lopez, like you mentioned. I have a gym in Texas. I've been doing boxing for over 20 years. I also have Women Crushing It Wednesday every Wednesday, and I also have Box Topics on Mondays with D-Style Boxing. And the way I came about being a coach for Team USA was I had applied, maybe it seems like almost 10 years now. And I didn't get the call back. And I kind of was like, well, that's okay. I'm going to continue training my guys in the gym and girls. And we had some national champions, some World Series of Boxing champions, some pros, and everything was going great. And then I got a call from Kay Karoma, who was on Team USA at the time. He's like, Chris, we need a female. We need somebody that knows what they're doing, like apply. And so I applied again, and this was almost 6 years ago. And they called me back, and I've been there ever since.
That's an incredible story, actually. Just to briefly go back to that, it's funny you mentioned D-Style because he was like somebody I met when I was in high school. The first time I started like recording, it was like, yeah, it was called internet radio at the time. And
okay,
it was like I was doing a show with like him and Joe Habib and a couple of other guys,
yeah,
whatever.
oh yeah.
It's just funny that you mentioned his name because I haven't seen him in years.
That's awesome. Yeah, we started doing a show on Mondays, and it's really blown up. I think we've only done like 5 or 6, but it's blowing up.
That's awesome. Yeah, he definitely knows his stuff. Talk to me a little bit about this trip that you just got back from the Pan American Games. Can you tell everybody a little bit about what that tournament is, who participates, what the stakes have been, and then we'll kind of go from there?
Absolutely. So we took 13 athletes, and in hopes of everyone getting qualified, obviously, because the Pan American Games is the qualifier for 2024 Olympics. So we took 13 athletes, and we had 5 qualify. Jahida Gonzalez, Jennifer Lozano, Morel McCain, Josh Edwards, and Jamal Harvey. We did also medal. We had 2 golds, 2 silvers, and 2 bronze. The second bronze being Roscoe Hill. But everyone did really well. I mean, the tournament was rough, obviously, because we have the best of the best there in our continent. But everyone did a great job. For those that didn't qualify, we do have other qualifiers that are going to be coming up. So we plan on taking them.
So what is the difference between somebody who qualifies and somebody who gets a gold medal, or is there a distinguishment between those two things?
So everyone that qualified did receive a medal. Roscoe Hill was the only one that did not qualify. I mean, it was like by 1 point, and he did medal. So our qualifiers did medal because they got past, the into the medal rounds to qualify, and that's what it is. You have to get into the medal rounds to qualify. It's either top 2, top 4, depending on the weight class, and that's what they were able to do.
Can you tell me a little bit about the fighters that you've had qualify for the Olympics? Because that's obviously fucking really exciting.
Oh, it's super exciting because, to be on the team, it's hard enough. You have to be everybody within the United States. And then you get up to Colorado, and you have, just depending on if you came in as number 1, number 2, as a sparring partner. We have qualification camps where they're competing within the top 1 and 2 to get a spot on the team. And then once they get a spot on the team, they have to hold that spot. They have to medal. I believe they had to get 3 medals within the year that they're on the team, depending on, what tournament we go to, they had to medal. So there had to be 3 medals to stay on the team. So obviously the ones that qualified they have their three, including this one. So they'll be on the team for the Olympics. We have a qualifier, national qualifier in December. The Olympic trials is what it's called. And there's going to be some new talent coming up. And obviously, the ones that have been on the team, they will have to kind of go head to head with them and see who's going to be on the next team if they have not gotten their three medals. But the ones that have medal, they'll go on to Italy or Thailand to qualify for the Olympics immediately. If that makes sense, it's a lot of information. Sometimes I get confused myself.
I think I'm keeping up pretty good. I think I'm getting most of
good.
it.
Okay.
So let me ask you this. Anybody, I'm sure everybody that's on the team is a special talent, and I'm sure especially everyone that made the Olympics is extremely special, but everybody in boxing that I know is in the know is constantly telling me, yo, you got to check out this kid, Jamal Harvey. Can you tell us a little bit
Sure.
about Jamal Harvey and what kind of makes him different or makes him special?
He is very special. I mean, they all are obviously, but he came from the youth. He was very talented. He was one of the youngest ones on the team, when he came on. And I've seen him grow as far as maturity level and skill level. And he kind of reminds me of a Terrence Crawford because he has no quit in him. He believes in himself and he does whatever he's asked to do. It's
See,
like
that's high praises. That's why I'm excited to
it's
watch more of him
very high
because
praises.
anyone that I know
Yeah.
that knows him is like, yo, he's the next Terrence Crawford. He's Keyshawn Davis. Like glowing comparisons.
Yes. Yeah. No, it's a huge comparison. I don't compare anybody to Terrence Crawford, especially. That's my
Yeah.
guy. I think he's the best right now. And but he does remind me of him. He does in certain aspects. And he's a switch hitter too. So there you go.
That's not easy to do.
At all, but he can do it both very well. Very long. He's not very tall, but his arms are long and he can touch the tall guys with ease, in and out, side to side. He's a great feints. He's great. He is.
What do you think about because I've been tossing this back and forth in my head too. Like, how do you feel about some of the fighters that go pro and can now come back to amateur boxing? I'm sure you've encountered that already. I know there was some that
Yeah.
like Beatrice Ferrara competed in the
Yes.
Pan American.
Yes.
Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Honestly, it doesn't bother me so much. It really doesn't. And it doesn't bother our athletes because the thing is that the Olympic style, the amateur style is very fast paced and the pro pace is a little bit slower. And it's kind of hard to switch back and forth. Although some can do it and have done it. And just for the record, we can't do it here in the United States. It's other countries that they allow their pros to continue on in the amateurs, but it's okay to me because we have proven that it doesn't matter if they're pro, amateur, whatever. We can still beat them, and we have.
I just think about some of like our best fighters here, and I think about, okay, what if Terrence Crawford competed in the Olympics? I feel like there would be like he might be a 17-year-old kid that just hasn't had that
Right,
experience. You know what I mean?
right,
So I think
right.
about that, and I'm sure like the elite of other countries at some point will do it. I think
Sure,
it's, you know
we've
what I
seen
mean?
that. Yeah, we've seen that, and yeah, that is definitely something to consider. Something else to consider too is that so as far as the men and the women that are pro and then they come back, they've taken a lot more damage because they've had to fight without headgears. So I also look at that as, that's in our favor because our athletes have not. So I take that into account and I put that into our favor.
Yeah, I've always just thought it was really interesting, and I'm wondering if in America that will ever also be a thing.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think world boxing right now, the only thing that I know that they're fighting for is to get the headgears back on, which I think is really important because, you could have the best of the best in the finals, but he fought someone in semis, and he got cut, and then he can't go on to the finals and he gets silver instead of gold. So that does happen. I think it would be great for the headgears to come back on for the men. And to me, that's more important.
Is that I think most people think the headgear is in some way like protecting the safety as far as the punches, but I think mostly what it's for is to kind of prevent headbutts and cuts like that, right?
Absolutely. I mean, you see head clashes all the time, and it's because they don't have the padding around the head, or the eyebrows. So I think it's very important. I don't know all the scientific background as far as, the shaking of the brain and all that stuff. There have been some that say that it does protect, and some say that it doesn't really matter. But I do know for a fact that it would minimize cuts for sure, if not eliminate them altogether.
I think at least in my mind, that's the biggest reason to do it, especially with younger fighters, like if you can prevent some of like that scar tissue buildup or whatever early on in their
Yes,
careers, I just think it's a whole different I think that there's some protection on the head, but it's pretty minimal. But
right.
especially with the younger athletes, I think that's important. You're right.
For sure, absolutely.
Can you tell me a little bit like how long are you? It was in Chile, correct?
Yes,
So
yes.
how long you out there? What's the day to day looking like? Um,
We Yeah, we were out there about 10 days, and as soon as we land, depending on the time, anywhere we go in any country, we immediately, like, we throw our stuff in our room, and we have to practice within an hour just to become acclimated. If it's early in the morning, we stay up all day long, regardless of what time it is in the US, and go to sleep whenever everybody else does in the country. And if it's at night, we still work out and we go to sleep when they do. It's very important for to our coach Billy Walsh and ourselves, that we get acclimated and athletes get acclimated to whatever time zone we're in. So we always have a shake off within an hour or two of our landing. So we did that immediately, and then the next days we get immediately, to work, strength and conditioning, boxing practice. We do some tech tack, which is mild sparring within ourselves. It's just touching and movement and things like that. And we're just working out every day, and then we get ready for competition. And depending on who goes first, they may not work out that day if they're I mean, that night if they're competing the next day, or they'll just do a little shake off. But we work out every single day, even if it's 8 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock at night, it doesn't matter. Depending on whatever time the tournament ends, within an hour after, we're working out.
it's a strenuous schedule to be doing all that training, all that competing every day.
It is, but they're young and they're very fit, they're very in shape. And honestly, it's not much different from when we're in Colorado. We have 2 sessions a day, and we're constantly moving and working. So they're good. They're used to it. They know what they have to do.
How good is Julio Cesar La Cruz?
He's good. I was fangirling over him, and I don't fangirl over many. But he looked good. He won the gold and he's he qualified again. I think that he is getting older, and you can kind of see a couple of things, but he's still the best of the best right now.
Do you think he can do something in the pros?
I believe he's already pro,
Yeah.
and I think he's only had a couple of fights, maybe. I'm
Yeah,
not
two or
sure.
three.
2 or 3. Yeah, I think he can. I do think he can. He's
Yeah,
he's
I
pretty
just
slick. He's slick. He's tricky. He knows some things. I saw some things. I was like, wow, okay.
I always had
Yeah.
a real great appreciation for all the Cuban fighters and that style.
Yeah. Yeah. I will say that we beat 3 Cubans while we were out there, but just saying. Just
It's
saying.
impressive. It doesn't always happen.
Yeah.
What was the
Yeah.
last? Who was the last big one? It was Keyshawn lost to who did he lose to again?
Oh gosh, I forgot his name. He had the hair.
And he's good too. You
Very
know what?
good.
The beauty
He's
of editing, I'm gonna find out who it is. I'm gonna put a little subtitle right there
Thank
so we can give him
you. I
credit.
think they fought like 3 times. Yeah.
And he
Yeah,
just went pro, and I was like, wow, this guy's fucking good. All right, well, we'll have
he
to do a
is.
subtitle on that.
Absolutely.
You got time a couple more minutes for like
I
other
do.
topics around the world of boxing?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Help me make sense of Tyson Fury and Francis Ngannou. I've been really trying to process that one. I think my initial feeling is just that Fury is probably just not a guy that's in the gym anymore. But what was like your first reaction to that?
So obviously, I was overseas, so I didn't get to really watch the whole fight or anything, but I saw highlights. And I talked about this last night on my show because I had seen another podcaster saying, "Haha, jokes on y'all." You think that Usyk and Fury are going to go after this. And honestly, I just think that Fury did not take Ngannou seriously. I really think that he thought, he's MMA and I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna sweep him, and he got caught off guard. But I think it'll be a whole different ball game when he is with faces Usyk. I really do. I'm a huge Fury fan. I get a lot of slack for that, but I don't care. I am. I
I've
love his
I've gone both ways, right? Like,
attitude.
but before he fought Klitschko, I was like, this fucking guy. Like, I couldn't stand
Yeah,
him. Then by the time, then he ruined the rematch or whatever. Then when he came back and he was
yeah,
beating Wilder, I was like, all right, this guy's undeniable. He's fucking singing
yeah,
in the ring and shit. Like, and
yeah.
now I'm just at a point where he's not taking serious, challenging fights, and it seems like he's looking more and more average every time. So it's
You
in
know,
my mind, I'm just like, please just retire or lose, bro.
Well, I think honestly, I think in my opinion, like he deserves to take tune-up fight, a money grab fight in
Sure.
between before he gets in there, with Usyk, because that's going to be a fight. That's going to go down in history if it goes well. So I think it's okay. It's kind of like if I'm queen of the hill, and I've done all these things, I'm going to maybe take something in between, just for my own physical well-being, because, just think about it's taxing to get in there with the big dogs. And I don't think that he thought, that he was going to get in there with a big dog. And that was the problem. He should have taken this fight seriously too.
I think
Um,
beyond the Ngannou fight, though, like since the last Wilder fight, that's like almost 2 years ago, if not more
yes,
than 2 years ago.
yes,
It's Dillian White, a third go with Chisora, and the Ngannou fight. So I just feel like
yes.
the last couple of years, it's like he's letting us know, like, I'm basically retired, but if the check clears, like, we're good.
Right, absolutely. And honestly, like who could he have really fought like in between? Like now it's like Usyk is the man to face at this time, and
If I'm being real picky, he could have fought Frank Sanchez or Jared Anderson. Like, there's a lot of,
I don't I like Jared Anderson. I do, and I'm rooting for him, but I don't know that he would have taken that fight. I can't speak for him, but I don't know that that would have been something that and that they would have gone for, or
yeah.
really even Fury, because what really the risk is high, the reward is low, for Fury, I think. um I don't know. I don't know if I would have wanted to see that, this early.
So now that this Ngannou fight has happened, how do you feel about him and Usyk?
So I still want to get closer to. I want to see their training camps. I want to see what they're doing, because I'm still a Fury fan, and I still and I love Usyk. Like, I mean, I love him. I think he's just spectacular.
He's the
Um,
man.
but I think that Fury uses his body mass, and he's got some tricks up his sleeve. And I think that if he's 110%, that he beats him. But I'm not going to pick yet because, like I said, I want to see what they're looking like in camp.
Before that, I would have said it's a great fight. I favor Fury. And now I'm really 50-50 about it because I don't know if he can just kind of whip it back up if he's been, fucking off for 2 years and just
But you
beat
know
the,
what? I think too. I think, and I might be just really reaching. I think that Fury is so smart that I think he takes some of these fights too, just so people can think what you're thinking, and including his opponents. I do. I think that he's very smart and very crafty. Like, I think he does things um to mentally screw people. Like, I do.
Well, he definitely used to. I mean, but telling Klitschko that he wanted to break his face in and that was his dream in
Yeah.
life, that was
Yeah.
amazing. We'll
Yes.
see. You could be right. You know, there's been times with him when I'm like, yeah, there's always a master plan, and then I'm times where I'm like, nah, this guy's just he's just doing whatever he feels that day. I can't tell.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard to tell.
He's a tricky guy. What'd you think of Amanda Serrano doing 12 threes?
I like I said, I didn't get to see that either because I was flying. I think I was flying that night. And but I think she's at a point where she can do whatever she wants. I personally think that she's taken enough um abuse. I hear her talk sometimes and I'm worried. You know, I think she's on top of her game as far as the business of it all. And I'm so glad she's gotten this opportunity because she's deserved it. She's done so much for women in the sport. But I don't think that it was a good idea. I am curious to see how she is now after that. And I don't think that I would want to see it again anytime soon. I don't. I know that some women are for the 3 minutes, but in the amateurs we do 3 minutes. We also have headgear, and in some cases bigger gloves. Most cases, all cases. Um, but I think it is totally up to the women. But I think she's taken enough. She's been in the game a long time,
I
so
mean,
I don't.
if she was a male fighter, would you say she should retire?
I think that I have said that some men should retire after they've gone through some wars, and it's like almost 7 years have been taken off their lives. And you talk to them, and you're like, "Yeah, you gotta retire." So yeah, I don't discriminate against the women and the men. I look at the way that they move and the way that they speak and stuff, and I get worried.
I guess I have mixed feelings about it because I think it was interesting. I did a podcast the other day with Rick Ramos, and he was talking about one of his concerns being at times like the talent gap. If there's a division that doesn't
Oh,
have
sure.
a lot of talent, like if you go number one to number six, that might be
Yeah,
like a dangerous talent gap. Um,
sure.
so I think that's really valid. But then I also think like a 10 2 minute round when you get into like Clarissa Shields, Savannah Marshall, it kind of shortchanges the fight. So I
Sure.
feel like there's got to be some kind of medium between a 20-minute title fight and a whatever it is, 36-minute
No,
title.
yeah, I mean, we're in the hurt business, and it is what it is, and sometimes my motherly, grandmotherly, concerns come out, so I start to worry about them. I don't think, I mean, there has to be a rule across the board, whether it be 312 or 310 for women too, or whatever it may be, and if they want to have it,
Or
I
12
mean, really,
twos.
it's yeah, exactly, or 12 twos. It really has to be. It really has to be between the woman and her opponent. But then again, I also don't think it's fair to say, well, I can do the 212s or 312s, but the men have to do the threes. So it's like we kind of have to like pick. What are we gonna do? We're not men. We're not like men. We can do a lot of amazing things, but we'll never be men. And I think that we really have to have a rule across the board. I do, because to pick and choose is not fair to the men either. They can't pick and choose what they're going to do. So I don't know. I'm kind of up in the air about it. I think that we have to ask the boxers, but I do get concerned. I do whenever I hear them speaking after they've taken a beating, male or female.
And it's a totally reasonable concern. I think at the end of the day, everybody's taking the risk. So it's tough to I do think it's going to just evolve however it evolves. I'm sure it's going to happen
Yeah,
again, but I also get the sense that this is not something that's going to happen regularly, to be honest.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, and Amanda wants to be and is a trailblazer. So she did what she did, and I'm sure some will follow suit for sure.
All right, I got two more. You got time for two more?
I do.
Stevenson versus De Los Santos. I actually think that this is one of Shakur's toughest fights. I'm like pretty high on De Los Santos.
Yeah,
What do you think about this matchup? And how do we get? I mean, barring him, he's probably going to win this fight because he's going to win every fight. But how do we get Shakur
right.
in like a big fight?
I definitely am excited about this fight. So I actually want to try to go. I'm actually trying to check on it today if I can go to see if I'm in town. But I like this fight too. I think you're right. This is going to be his toughest competition, but I do believe that Shakur is going to pull it out. I just don't see anybody right now beating him. Not right now. I don't. Um, I think that he is so crafty. Um, and his mentality too. And I think that's so important. Like you have to have that confidence. You have to know that you're going to win, and you have to feel it, and you have to do it. And he is so talented. He's been talented for since as long as we've known about him. So I don't know who he could be against that would give him Del Santos is going to give him a challenge, but I don't know of anybody that could beat him. I don't. I don't. Do you have somebody in mind that you think could beat him?
Could I mean Tank could. If anybody could, Tank
Will
could.
it happen?
I don't know. I can never make sense of Tank's career because I feel like I want to have him in like my top 5 pound for pound, but he just doesn't give us the fights that warrant
Right.
that.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
doesn't, he doesn't, he's not taking the fights. But the truth is a lot of these guys aren't. I feel like to be
Right.
fair, like Devin's really the only one that's really gotten out there and like gotten in the
Right.
mix at the championship level regularly.
Right. I agree. I agree with that for sure.
And on eye test, I mean, maybe that's part of like what happens when you step up in competition. But on eye test, he's like my least favorite of that bunch. He's just the one that's been in there with the guys.
Right. Right. Yeah. 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 That's true. Um, yeah, you're right. And this next fight between him and Regis, I'm very curious to see how it plays out.
I love that fight. That's a banger.
Do I love it because we have these two different styles. I mean, Regis can box a little bit, but he's more of a banger, a brawler. And Devin, he can. I don't know. I'm excited. I'm excited about it.
Benavidez versus Andrade. I'm flip flopping on this one. Every time
Uh,
I think about it, I'm not. I
uh
can't. I can't tell who to pick. I think.
so Boo Boo has been out of the ring for a long time, so he has to really prove that finally, he's getting his shot. He has to really prove that he belongs there. I think that he can box well. I think he gets tired in the later rounds. And Benavides is a machine. He keeps coming forward and he's throwing, bombs. And he can take punches as well. And I don't think Boo Boo has the power to actually hurt Benavides. Um, so I think it's like 40-60 for me. Boo Boo 40 and 60 Benavides. It's tight, but I think that Benavides is gonna pull it out.
I think he probably will too. I think with where Andre's chances lie for me is like he just has not been hit that much. So I
Yeah,
and the inactivity is not great like for being sharp, but I don't look at him as like a shop worn guy really for especially for however
no,
old he is.
right.
Um
Yeah,
and I definitely thought that for the first 6, Benavidez looked uncomfortable against Caleb Plant. I mean, he figured
yeah,
it out and he got the
yeah,
job done. But if
yeah.
Andre's able to sustain it a little better or something, I think
If
it
he
could be a
can,
weird
yeah,
style.
yeah, yeah.
It could
Yeah,
be.
they're very similar. He and Caleb as far as their boxing skills and being long and things like that. That's a good point. I just feel like even since Benavides wasn't there with Caleb, he kind of knows that they study film. They know that they have some similar traits, and I think that they're gonna figure it out.
I'm hyped to see him finally get the fight. I mean, he's been like a fucking prospect for 15 years or some shit.
Oh
I'm like, let's finally
God,
get him a meaningful fight.
like dude, come on. Yeah,
He's
he's
getting
just
it at the last second.
he's just, and I'm so sorry, but he's just not. exciting to me. He's not somebody that I'm just like, oh my God, I just can't wait to get home and watch Booba. You know, it's like, he just doesn't do it for me. I don't know.
You
And
don't like
then,
four knockdowns in the first round and then a 12-round decision?
you know, it's just like, and I believe I'm a boxing head, you know, and then I'm thinking about like the average person at home that just watches boxing like casually. Do they want to see that? Like, you know, and no disrespect, boo boo, but I just, you know, I don't know. So, but you know, maybe this is his coming out party. Maybe this is it right here. He's gonna show us what's up. We'll see.
And I think to defend like boring fighters too, like I like, and you know what I'm
Who,
saying when I say
Laura?
boring
I
fighters.
like
Yeah,
Laura.
my guys, you know, nerd shit. Um, it's like on some level, it should just be if you win or lose, and then you get ranked if higher if you win, you get ranked lower if you lose. And I think that
Right.
Boo Boo's always just been like too good for his own good, where it's just he makes all these fights kind of easy and not that fun to watch, and then people are like, well, I don't know. Canelo's about to fight. He's not one of the
Right.
five guys I want to see. And it's
Right.
just been that way for years.
Fury's about to fight.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
This is moment though. This is moment.
Yeah, this is it. Like, what are you gonna do? You know, what are you gonna do?
So what is next for you? What is next for the team? What's the next tournament? When do the Olympians start Olympicing? How does this go from here?
So we're on a break until after Thanksgiving, which is great because, you know, usually, you know, we get 1 week or 2 weeks off in between camp. So this is really nice. We missed last Thanksgiving at home. We were at I think we were at I don't know, a bar eating dinner, you know. So this is nice, which is great. You know, they always take care of us when we're out of town, but it's nice to be able to be with the family. So and then the team will go back before myself, and it's going to be mostly a strength and conditioning camp, and then I'll come the following week and we'll get back to boxing. I know there's some tournaments coming up, and then you know we have Italy that's going to be coming up, so we'll just start preparing for that, and then we're
What's
going to
going on in
see.
Italy?
Italy will be the second trials for the Olympics to get the rest of the team qualified. And then, you know, we've got the boxers that are going to nationals in December. We're going to see, you know, what gold nuggets pop out of there, you know, what new talent, you know, and we're just constantly growing and building and seeing what's next.
Plug your shows. When and what time are they? Where can people watch? Plug all the shows.
So every Wednesday, Women Crushing It Wednesday is 8 p.m. Central. And then my Box Topic show on Mondays, I should have said that one first, Monday, is 7 p.m. Central. So please tune in. They're so fun. Like they're different. You know, D-Style and I, we hone in on one subject and we talk about it. And then on Wednesday, it's just my girls and I, Nika and Crystal. We have fun. We have guests on there. It's very laid back, as if we're sitting in a bar or a restaurant. We're talking boxing, and it's very fun. So please tune in.
Anybody, anything, anywhere that you want to shout out before we wrap this one up?
You know, I want to thank you so much for having me on the show. You know, this is fun to be on the other side. You know, not asking the questions. I like it. It's really fun. And just shout out to everybody that's following Team USA because they're the future. You know, they're our future Olympians and future pros and world champions. So, you know, shout out to everybody that's been tuned in and watching their every move, and obviously everybody that watches our shows, because we have a lot of fun. We take a lot of pride in our boxing knowledge, and just all the boxing heads out there. You know, I appreciate you all. We couldn't do it if we didn't have people that wanted to watch and hear.
That's my last question. Is there anywhere I can go and watch all these fights?
Yeah, actually, you can go to YouTube. It's 2023 Santiago. I believe that's what it is. Or you can put in Pan American Games. They're on YouTube, and they have the live stream. So all your information for Team USA, you just go to usaboxing.org. They always have the live streams. They always have everything that we're doing next, so that you can follow Team USA. They do a really, really great job in keeping everybody updated.
Well, that's a beautiful thing. Thank you, Christine
Yes.
Lopez, for being here today.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
And I'm going to do a shameless plug real quick. I got episode 2 of The Fight Life with Shadeja Green. Check
I
that
can't
out.
wait. Can't wait. Looking forward to it. I
Yeah,
like her.
it's going to be a good one. She's a fucking monster, and I'm excited for everyone to see.
You know what? Kudos to you because I messaged her like 6 months ago to get an interview and she denied me. So not really denied me. She just said, "Oh, that's really late for me. I go to bed early." So kudos to you.
Well,
Kudos to you.
she does go to bed early. That is true. And we met in person at the I was covering the Serrano card in February that she was on the
Okay.
undercard at the Garden.
Yeah.
So I met her over there and we just kind of clicked. I live like fucking 15 miles away from where she
Oh,
trains.
that's awesome.
So
Yeah.
we connected, and
Well,
then
I'm still a fan.
well, and she's a great person. She's a hell of a fighter, and I mean, I like her chances in on December 15th. I really do.
It's gonna be good.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. Christine Lopez, beautiful. Much appreciated.
Thank you. Appreciate you so much.